Hello. Nice to see you all here. It's a bit different organization than you're used to seeing, but okay. I hope it will be nice today as well. One of the earliest memories I actually have was when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I remember my dad showing me a very simple magic trick that to a 3-year-old kid was just mind-blowing. It went something like this. You know, you have a bottle cap, and then, you know, now you see it, now you don't, and now you see it again. Very fun. But yeah, as a child it was just amazing to me. That's why I'm very happy to be able to do today's lecture for you, which is about deception. And it's called A Game of Deception, the one where we lure them in. So yeah, thanks to everyone who participated in creation of this document and lecture. Sebastian and Veronica are at a conference in Argentina, Echo Party, so they are sending their hellos to you, and we are waving to them if they are watching us. Now, if somebody's maybe at the Echo Party, look up for them. I'm talking to internet people. So, as usual, you know the procedure. The links are the same as for every class, and they are here at the beginning of the document. And then, of course, we start with the class survey from the last class. So, last time we did some detection of attacks, if you remember, and we had some, zoom in on this, 30 responses. For most of the people it was okay. There was like 30%, bit less of people who found it too fast, so we will try to adapt a bit. Okay, this lecture is in general a bit less packed, so hopefully it should be fine for everyone to follow without issues. But of course, if something is too fast, like we have enough time today, please stop me. We can like go slowly through it. Okay. Were you able to follow what teacher explained during the class? Most of you did, which really makes us happy. And yeah, most of you managed to run the commands on your device, which is nice. And yeah, you seem to like the document, so we will keep up with it. And now to the fun part of every class. We have the prizes for the last week's assignment, and it was really close last week. So actually the first and second place were really close in timing, and I think for the first time this semester we don't have the usual winner on the first place, but we will see. So are the prizes ready? Yeah. So third place, a very nice Adafruit Mini 2 port USB hub breakout goes to Sereda 1. Nice. Woo. Thank you. Congratulations. Nice. Okay, so the first places were very close. First two places were very close, as I said. So we actually have the same prize for them, and it's Raspberry Pi Pico 2 with the Wi-Fi port. So the second place goes to Kupkayan, and Jan is not here. Hopefully he will be here to pick up his prize. Otherwise, who knows what might happen to it. Or maybe Jan was just like, I have enough of the prizes, I don't need them anymore. And the first place, very nice Raspberry Pi Pico 2, goes to Sternaon 2, first time winner, nice. Congratulations. So yeah, are there any questions or any comments regarding the last assignment? Like, please tell us. Of course, again, if you are stuck, you have the chats with all of us teachers. Write us there. We try to answer you as soon as we are able to. So don't hesitate to ask if you are stuck or have any comment. To actually even read the comments you make on the challenges in the CTFD. It's a new feature from this year, so we actually now get the feedback on what you think about challenges, which is nice as well for the upcoming years. All right, parish notices. So yeah, CTU students, and that's people live here and other people who are CTU students. Assignments 1, 2, 3, and 4 close October 30th. At midnight. So if you don't solve them by then, you won't have a chance to solve them again. And remember, you need 30 points for the Započet, so be careful with this. Again, if you're stuck on any assignment, write us. For the last class, this is for everyone. Mock people, CTU people, don't forget to vote for the topic of the last class. We are very happy when we get your postcards, so just if you want to make us happy, you can send it. Yeah, also CTU people, if you want to do the bonus assignment during the Christmas holidays, you know there's a unlock report. You have to send one of the first, like second, third, or fourth assignment, or fifth maybe. So the deadline for that is December 11th. We already got over 30 something of these reports, which is nice. We managed to go through some of them. We will go through all of them in time for you to know like what to improve for the bonus assignment. Just don't forget about it. And mock people and everyone who is following us on the internet, in the time zone changes in Prague this weekend. So the next class, it will be moved 1 hour back. So just be sure that you're here in the right time if you want to follow live. All right, so that's it with the parish notices and this introduction. Any questions so far whatsoever, comments, anything? Okay, then we go into the main topic of this class, which is deception. So in the first part, we're gonna talk generally about deception, what it is, why it works, bit more theoretical, and then we're gonna get hands-on. We're gonna go into cyberdeception, the part that is important to us. We're gonna see what the attackers might do. We'll see for the most of the class how defenders deal with deception, how defenders use it. And then we're gonna talk about honeypots, honey systems. Should be very fun. So let's go. So the goal for us, of course, is to learn what deception is, the basic concepts, applications, and then why we use it in cyberspace. So what is deception? Basically, in simple terms, it's an act of creating or maintaining a false belief in someone. So somebody might already believe something that is false and we want them to believe so. So we try to maintain that belief, or we actually try to create a false belief. So you can even call it a trickery, you know, we're trying to trick someone into something that is not true. Of course, there is a lot of ambiguity about this, like what deception is, what it isn't, because sometimes some behaviors that are benign, you know, regular, can be used for deception purposes. So there is no definitive answer, so to say, and the opinions often differ, but we're gonna just that's why it's important to keep in mind that intent, that if the intent of doing something is to install that false belief in someone, then we're probably talking about deception. And it's a very common thing in many areas of our lives and society. So I'm pretty sure like most of us have faced some form of deception at some point of our lives. So does anyone have any example that they would like to share, or like where we might see deception? Don't be shy. Yes. Deepfakes, yeah? Do you want to maybe comment more on that?
Yeah, deepfakes, because I was doing research on deepfakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, how are the deepfakes used for deception, or?
Yeah, definitely for impersonation of some very popular people, so politicians, for example, or celebrities. So
and
it's a really good form of deception, I think. A lot of people believe it.
Yeah, and the goal is probably to get some money off of someone or something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thanks. We had one more here. I'm gonna throw it, so. Nice.
I have something more innocent. I once had task in high school which was like writing exercises, and I really didn't like them. And there was output from the program, and I managed to edit the screenshot of the output and disab the teacher about that I did it while I didn't. So
Okay. I mean, yeah, it is deception. You installed a false belief that you did something. So we're gonna keep an eye on your bonus assignment this year. All right, nice. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, basically advertising, we often see it there, you know, sales 80%, and then you don't see that little up to, and then it's sale on like 3 things in the store, but you're already in and you find some things that you like and you're spending money. So it's kind of nice trickery. In sports, you know, you see it in football, you're dribbling and then you move like you're gonna go right, but you go left and then the fender goes the wrong way. I mean, all of the examples of deception. Entertainment, magicians, that's like their modus operandi is deception, and like use of misdirection for deception, persuading us that something is somewhere where it isn't. That's actually the art of deception, probably at its finest form. In politics we see it, I'm sure, all the time. You know, you have a survey, you interview like 20 people, and then there's just like 5 or 6 people that really suit your narrative, so you show that on the news or somewhere. Very nice. Military is probably the most, other than, you know, magicians, the most basic example where deception is used in warfare from, I don't know, 5,000 years ago till today. People were finding ways to trick each other into believing something over, you know, that's not true but looks plausible enough. Like there are countless examples. I put here just one for the reference of the battle from the World War II. Basically, you have Yugoslav army and you have a river and you have, you know, Nazi Germans on both sides, and they can't go back obviously, and they can't go over the river. So and there's only one way over it that's plausible for them, a bridge. So what do? They destroy the bridge. So the German forces on the other side of the river think they're gonna engage with fighting with the Germans on the back, and they go around to help them. But during the night, they somehow manage to build actually some makeshift bridge to cross the river and get to the other side safely. Very interesting tactic that actually worked, and there's even a movie about it. Very fun. Internet, we've dealt with social engineering a few lectures ago. I'm sure you all remember it. Now, social engineering maybe itself is not deception, but it's commonly used for deception, or deception is used for social engineering. It's kind of intertwined there. And even in the animal world, it's not just limited to humans. You know, you have opossums playing dead when they don't want to be eaten by their predators. Or fake poisonous frogs. There you even have the involuntary deception, which is also possible because, you know, they just evolved that way. They didn't choose to have the same color as the poisonous frogs, but they still managed to deceive the predators. So it's a big point of all of this is that deception is everywhere. So we really need to be careful about it, especially in the cyberspace. But yeah, there is, like, you might ask, okay, is lying deception? Is there any difference? Is it the same thing? Basically, the main differences are 2. For lying, you have to make some statement. You have to say something that is not true. And lying doesn't have to be successful. You can lie and they can, you know, figure out you're lying, and you still said a lie. You said something that's not true. But with deception, you don't have to say anything. You can just do something or behave in a certain way to deceive someone. And deception kind of connotes success. If it doesn't succeed, then it was an attempt of deception. It wasn't deception. So that's kind of the main difference. And lying can be used for deception, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, so why does deception work? There are some studies that show that our ability to discern between truth and lies is barely above 50%, which is really not ideal, but I mean, we're all aware of people falling for all sorts of scams. So why do you think it is? It's basically due to this really fun thing that's common to all of us, and that's called biases. Have you heard of biases? Maybe nod. I'll be satisfied with just nodding. You don't have to speak. Just give me some feedback that you're alive. Good. Is there anyone here who thinks they are not biased? Okay, good. Because we all are. It's something that we really can't escape. It affects our decision making, our beliefs, our behavior. It's very fun how many things control our choices, but okay. So, and we call all of this cognitive biases, and they are systematic patterns of deviation from norm or rationality in judgment. So basically, whatever makes us not approach some problem objectively. And they are intrinsic to our nature. We really can't get away from them. They can occur voluntarily, and they can be caused basically by the way we were brought up, where we were brought up, some beliefs we were instilled. We've linked here in the footnotes, the second one, every single cognitive bias, a very nice visualization, like you can check there if you're interested, hundreds of cognitive biases, for example, anchoring bias, you know nothing about the topic, and then the first piece of information you get about it, you anchor yourself to that, and then you just kind of accept the information that supports that point of view. Many more. But it's basically because our brains are not perfect and they are very lazy. We try to employ shortcuts to solve stuff. And because of it, we kind of tend to perceive what we expect to perceive. You know, for a child that doesn't have much of a experience in life, this movement would basically mean, okay, this cap is hidden here, because from what it knows, the biases of the child, it thinks it's there. Of course, through our growing up, we figure out, okay, you can, palm the cap here and get it out, but sadly, some of the biases stick with us for a very long time. And there are some other things like emotions, lack of knowledge, information overload, repetition. If you repeat a lie all the time, you kind of start believing it. Very common everywhere. But are these things different from biases, separate? Are they the same? Basically, in a nutshell, now not to go too deep into like psychological lecture, but they are kind of the things that cause the biases. We might be biased towards something because it, makes us emotional, or because we just don't know anything about it. But all of these things make us susceptible to deception, because successful deceivers, magicians, whatever, they count on this. Okay, these people know this and they believe this, so they expect to see this. Okay, how can we leverage that to get out of them something we want? Most often money, if we're talking about some scams, but it could be some influence or agreement to sign something, whatever. So yeah, many of these factors make us vulnerable, and yeah, we tend to perceive what we expect to perceive. So when we observe deception a bit more formally, we can like put some parts to it. And basically the main parts, we need to have a deceiver and a target, somebody who is deceiving someone, because without it, we are not talking about deception. Another important thing is the channel. That is the way how we transmit that deception. For example, the phone scanners, they're using phones and that kind of telecommunication media. Some people might use social media for deception. We've heard of deep fakes, so internet, but it can be also live, scammers on the street, whatever. And probably other than the two, let's say, parties doing deception, the most important thing is deception story. because that's ultimately what makes it successful or doesn't, if you can make that story believable or not. So has any one of you heard of ANOM? A-N-O-M. Yes. Oh, do you want to comment on that? That would be beautiful. Thank you.
Well, if I recall correctly, it was an FBI operation, if I'm on the right
Exactly.
track. It was an FBI operation that basically made like a fake encrypted communication app because when a lot of illicit market was moving to, let's say, the dark web, the criminals quickly needed a way to cipher their communications, and there was a really huge gap in the market. So FBI like launched into it. They made a fake app, and they promised like encrypted communications, and they obviously had the keys. And the operation was like 5 years or 4 years long. It was a really long-term operation, which is common in organized crime. And basically, when they had enough evidence, they just took all the criminals down, and it went to court.
Yeah, beautiful. That's basically it in a nutshell. Okay, I'm just gonna get a little bit closer. Too hard. Sebastian had more practice with this, you know, that's why he's better than me. But by the end of today, I'll get there. So yeah, basically, it was a FBI Trojan horse. I put a nice link here for you to see. And yeah, it was advertised to criminals as an encrypted chat network because another one that was taken down recently. So the criminals needed a new way to communicate safely, and they needed this app quickly. So basically, the deceiver was the FBI, the target were the criminals, the channel was this application, and deception story was, hey, this is the encrypted channels just for you honest, hardworking criminals. It's safe for you to talk there. Don't worry about anything. Nobody knows what you're doing. I mean, look, it was encrypted. It's just that the FBI had the keys to decrypt it, you know, but they, as we will see later, truth is a very important thing in deception, and they did say truth here. They just forgot to mention this part that they could decrypt it, but it was encrypted. So yeah, basically truth. Truth is one of the 4 basic principles that govern deception. Is the false state of the world. So for something not to be truthful, we need to have truth, and then the deception is exception of that truthful world. Then there is the denial, blocking targets access to true data. So what was the denial in this ANOM example? Anyone? I mean, they basically didn't tell them they have a backdoor to the application, which they, so the criminals were denied of that knowledge, basically. Deceit, what is then the next basic principle, and here we get into the deception, this lying, simulating, and basically the deceit was that they would be shielded from the law if they use this application, which was not true for them. Another principle is misdirection, more commonly maybe used with magicians, you know, they get your attention somewhere else and you're not paying attention to the right things. But I don't know, I guess maybe in this ANOM example we can see misdirection as, you know, the criminals misdirected themselves, you know, they just wanted to deal more with their activities than to worry about the communication app, so they didn't just focus on it. Of course, like if you have comment on anything I'm saying, please like raise your hand. We like to discuss things. It's all good. And yeah, there's one kind of extra, which is confusion, where the deceiver tries to degrade perceptual capabilities of the deceived. Basically, example can be, you know, throwing so much info that they, you know, can't really process all that info in short time, so their perception abilities are degraded. Question, yes. Okay, let's use this one.
So what's the difference between misdirection and confusion, since they seems pretty similar in this?
So misdirection would be kind of making the target deal with one thing instead of focusing on what you are doing to deceive them. Confusion is like giving them so many things. I mean, they are very similar, but confusion is like in the misdirection, their processing capabilities are not weakened. They can like reason very nicely, but they're just reasoning about the wrong stuff. They're thinking about the wrong thing. Here they are trying to think about so many things at the same time that they can't properly do it. So that's kind of the main difference. Of course, yes, confusion can then be kind of misdirection because it sort of gets your attention away from the real thing, but in misdirection you kind of are focused just on the wrong thing. Here you just can't focus on anything. Yeah. Could confusion be the result of misdirection? Yes, of course. I mean, confusion is often product of deception in general. So yeah, thank you. So for us, two important variants of deception are A-type and M-type. A-type, ambiguity increasing, A, and the M-type is the misleading one. So ambiguity increasing one is similar to this confusion. So let's step into cyberspace for a moment. And let's say that we are defenders and some malicious actor got a hold of list of passwords or just credentials. Now, let's say somehow that they know that we put some deception there. If our deception is good, they won't be able to recognize it. So let's say that they know that we put some fake users in this database or collection of credentials, and usage of those credentials would alert us immediately of the attack. So if all the users and credentials look equally plausible, the attacker doesn't know what to believe. They can try these credentials to get in. They might be the legitimate one, they might be the fake one. And if they are the fake, then they, we get alert, we can do some stuff. So, and they also don't know, did we inject one fake user? Did we inject multiple? It's very hard, so they have to kind of balance that thing. They're not sure what to believe. The second type, misleading one, is they get the list that they believe that is completely legitimate, but actually the entire list is fake. So any credential that they use is going to alert us, but they don't know anything about deception. They think they found a legitimate list of credentials and they just believe in the false alternative. In the other one, they are not sure what to believe in. Is this clear? Blink twice. Yeah, good. And yeah, also deception can be passive or active. In active, we actually have to be engaged with deception. We have to interact with the target. The passive one is, for example, like these lists. You put them somewhere. Someone might find them. They might not. If they find them, you can't really do much more there. But with the active one, you have to be there. You have to adapt to the situation. So yeah, basically, this whole thing kind of comes down to this sentence that it's actually easier to induce a target to maintain a pre-existing belief than to change their belief or create a new belief for them. And that's what we leverage to do successful deception. And on the following up on the Magruder's principle, some say that deception should actually contain some 95% of the truth. Now, or it's 95 or 90, but there definitely has to be truth in the deception. Whatever you do, even if it's a magic trick, it's true that there is this cap, it's true that it disappears in the fake credentials list, it's true that those are credentials, that they can be used in some service. So deception needs to work very closely with truth, because otherwise it's very obvious that it's fake. So yeah, we just need to be very creative. We have to know, even if there is a need for deception, like, you don't always have to do it. It's not a universal solution for everything. So like, figure out if we need it, and then the purpose, the setting, and just prepare well. And of course, a lot of it comes with experience. So this is kind of this first introductory bit of psychological theory part. Is everything clear so far? Anything you would like to discuss, ask, or we can move into our cyberspace? Yeah, okay, then we can go further. So now we're gonna actually soon be doing some stuff hands-on. So like, we have time, but like, get ready. You can start your Docker environments if you already haven't, SCL lab, whatever. So Cyberdeception, basically now we take the deception and we move it into cyberspace. Why? Well, to deceive someone on the internet, basically. That's kind of, and we're gonna leverage digital tools, online environments, many things. And very nice thing about it, it's used both by the attackers and defenders. You know, like previous lectures we had, like previous lecture was just some techniques for defending. The lectures before that were, you know, attacking techniques. Now deception is someone that's used all around. It's fun for everyone. So we're actually gonna start with the attackers in this one. So again, many examples how attacker might leverage online space to deceive us or the unsuspecting targets. Some of them, of course, again, referring to social engineering, which is not deception itself, but deception can be used there. You can pretend you're someone you're not to social engineer someone. Phishing emails, very nice. That even includes lying for deception, you know. You are a prince from somewhere, or somebody has inherited huge amount of money. And then we go into evil twins. And we have two things. One are websites, and the other one is rogue Wi-Fi access points. So maybe before we go into websites, does anyone know anything about the rogue Wi-Fi access points or these evil twin Wi-Fi? Yes. Oh, microphone. Yeah. I'm better with this one.
We can actually create a Wi-Fi access point that has, for example, the same SSID, and we, I think, can even copy the MAC address.
Okay.
So if we overpower the original Wi-Fi, we could receive the, we could act as the original router, and if the user tries to connect it, we could possibly extract the password. But I also think it's done in a way that the Wi-Fi is like free to access.
Yes.
It's open, and it hosts a website for login.
Yes, that can be a way as well. Thank you. Oh, nice. Okay, here's a Mando for you. Ooh. Need to tweak just a bit more. Okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. Also, like what is common is when you have open Wi-Fi somewhere and you name your, you know, Wi-Fi just the same way as that one, and people connect to your Wi-Fi, and then all traffic goes. You're basically man in the middle, and all traffic goes through you. You see everything that people are doing, and then if there's some unencrypted communication, not recommended. So like, be careful when you're connecting to open Wi-Fi access points. People do bad things. Evil twin websites, very similar thing. Yeah, you want to comment on that? And I like when you're proactive without me asking.
Yeah, but more on the practical side, just a question, because you said that we need to be aware of how maybe responsible is the person who owns this open Wi-Fi is. why should we really care? Because I thought that kind of our data traffic is there encrypted, so we shouldn't really care much about it.
Yes, but like if it's a legitimate one, yeah, but if you connect to a rogue one, it doesn't have to be encrypted, you know, and then...
And what kind of information then they can employ from our traffic for their nefarious purposes?
Basically, since all the traffic goes, you know, through there, they see all the websites you're visiting, all the information you're like putting there, so that can be kind of...
Okay, thanks.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
One of the things that can happen is that even if you don't know exactly the payload of the data, the patterns of the communication can be used for instance, like targeting specific people, because it's very unique. It can be very unique, so you can be like spotted and detected in different places when you move around and when you connect your devices. So not necessarily just like looking in your data, but also like identifying you as a user or your device within the network.
Nice, thank you. Any more questions? Internet, are we good? Oh, that's nice. So then websites, similar thing. We've seen, like, especially for the click-jacking ones or the social engineering and phishing, you know, they clone the entire website that looks legitimate. They even get the domain that looks similar. That's something we talked 2 lectures ago. And then, you know, you don't see it, you click there, and boom, you're on a bad website and you might leave some important data there or something. Now, a very nice thing that was actually developed in Stratosphere a few years ago is this should I click site, where if you're not sure about a link you received or want to click, you can paste it here. We go there for you, we check what's there and then tell you if it's safe to open it or not. I had a domain here which was very malicious until apparently this morning, because, you know, there are still people protecting the internet, so these things get fixed. But okay, here we have it, you should not click. Okay, it's back. And the website basically tells you, okay, it's with this percentage of certainty, this is evil twin, this is, okay, there's possibility of unencrypted data sent, and they even do a screenshot of the website for you when you see it. So that's a very nice way to check something if you're not sure. A nice protection from us defenders, I guess. We've touched on deepfake technology today, which is really nice because I don't have to repeat it now. But yeah, basically attackers can use deepfake technology to simulate, like, even I've heard stories of people, you know, simulating CEOs of some big firms and then going to the financial officer or someone who can send them huge amounts of money, and then they actually do it because they are very busy, they don't have time to check. Or like with phishing, I just remembered a very nice story somebody told me very recently about how the attackers managed to install their software into one company, and they were actually given access to do that by one of the C-suite. I'm not sure if it was CFO or someone, but basically how they prepared their deception. For months and months, they were spamming the mail inboxes of this company with, you know, spam email, all the, you know, junk, whatever. And then after a few months, they call one of these C-suite executives and they say, hello, we are from your IT support. We have noticed that for a long time now, you've been receiving a lot of spam mail in your inbox. Would you like us to remove it? Of course, like, you don't want to get spam, and you're a very busy person, so you say, yeah, of course, please remove it. Okay, we just need to access your computer to install the software. Of course, here you go, and boom, they were in. So the deception here was very nice, and it actually took a long time to prepare, and that's one also key thing with deception. You need to be patient with it. And like this is, as you will see later, true regardless whether you're attacker or defender. Like deception really asks for patience from you. But like if you're good at it, it can pay off greatly. I guess especially for defenders. That's for the later part of the class. And now we come to steganography, which is not deception on its own, again another example, but it can be used for deception. And now we will see how. So actually let's finally do something practical today. So CTU students, we can go to our class Dockers. Mock students, you can open the SCL and you can install this. You're gonna need this. The CTU people, you should have XSD in your XXD in your Dockers anyway already, so it should be fine. And we're gonna start by downloading this photo. You can use this command here. So we go into our Dockers and we download a photo. So wget, right? Please tell us if, yeah. Can you check it? Anyone else who can't download the photo? Okay, I'm gonna take the silence as you don't have issues with this. And you can even, we can examine the photo if we open this link. Here it's a photo of some books, Agatha Christie. Nothing really special about it. But if we were to do a strings command before the photo, so let me clear this so you can see it nicely. So strings, Poirot books, JPEG. You see a bunch of photo metadata, but at the end we see a hidden message. Did you manage to do this?
Maurice?
Yes.
Can you say real fast what strings does? I'm not sure if we saw that command before.
Yeah, I was just about
Oh, sorry.
getting to that. Yeah, so basically strings is a Linux command, and it brings the strings of printable characters in files. And you don't have to apply just for photos. It can be whatever, PDF files, text files, whatever. As long as it has some printable characters, the strings command will print them. And if you look here, all are at least 4 characters long here. So everything from 4 beyond. Also, there's this another command in the document, xxd, which basically gives us a hex dump of the file, but also there we can see the same hidden message. So this brings us to the definition of steganography, because we've seen that photos can have some hidden data, and like in this example it was just a simple string. It can be files, and that's the key part of this and the important one. So basically steganography, very hard and interesting science, so sadly we don't have time to go into depths of it, because that would require literally a course on its own just on steganography, but just an overview because it's important for security and commonly used. Steganography is practice of representing information within a medium in such a manner that the presence of that information is not obvious when you examine that medium. And also now machines do a lot of this examination and inspection, so steganography should be resistant to that. It shouldn't be obvious to the machine too that there's something there. So basically, in a nutshell, you see a photo, you see a video, you see a file, and you think it's a photo, video, or a file, and then there's nothing else hidden there. And one advantage of it is that, you know, people try to find it because they don't know something is there. They see a photo and they're like, okay, cool, it's a photo. And it's good for situations, for example, when encrypted communication might raise suspicion. Like if some communication is not supposed to happen and you see someone exchanging encrypted data, like, okay, they're talking about something important, but you know, if somebody is sending memes, you're like, okay, it's fine, but they're actually hiding something there. But, important note, it's security by obscurity. Which means that we are making something secure by hiding that there is some security measures, and that's usually not good practice to have that as a sole security solution, because once those things are discovered, then they are very obvious. Like if you know that there is something in the photo, you're gonna find it very easily. So just securing your systems by having your opponents think that there is no security implemented or something, not a good practice, but it can be an additional thing to use steganography to your existing security solution. And another advantage of steganography is it can basically use any medium, photo, video, text files, audio files, whatever. You can like embed some data into it. Yes. Just a second.
Based on what we learned in the previous lesson about the extended headers in the files where as it was told, they have no restrictions. Wouldn't it be easier to just hit something there and maybe encrypt it somewhat, and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, you can like hide stuff anywhere where you think someone might not look. That's not, and of course, steganography can be additionally enhanced by encryption. We will like mention it soon, but yeah, again, the use of steganography is basically you want to send or like extract some data that you shouldn't, and you don't want anyone to like even think that you might be doing it. So you download a photo, but in the photo you've hidden a file with passwords which you're extracting from the computer you infiltrated. So like if you, encryption again shows that there's some data transfer, and someone might be, okay, why is this encrypted data being taken from here? Well, with steganography, okay, somebody is downloading a photo. Like this example that I'm giving is maybe more common for like when dealing with internal threats. If somebody inside your network doesn't have some access rights, but they actually manage to go around that, and now they are trying to get some things. But yeah, you can basically hide it wherever you think it won't be found or raise suspicion. That's kind of the main thing.
We have one question from the internet.
Yes.
If steganography can also be used in so-called watermarks of digital files.
Yes, I mean, I think so. I mean, just the question there is like how much data you can like hide there. Of course, like watermarking the files, photos is one way to deal with like steganography and to recognize if there's a steganography, because some disadvantages of it are it can degrade quality of the carrier. Like if we now had very simple strings in that photo, so the photo didn't look weird, not much changed. But like if you were to put some huge files, it would definitely degrade the carrier, and you would notice it by just by examining the photo that something's going on. So watermarking is, from what I know, one way to fight it. Again, I'm not expert too deep on steganography, but you can, I mean, it just depends on the size of the data that you want to hide and then transfer somewhere. That's the... Anything else? No? So, yeah, again, just this pure act of hiding data is not deception itself. There are many reasons why you might want to do that, but it can be used for deception. So, for example, what the attackers do, they can replace pixels in images with malware code. So if you, I don't know, download something from the internet and there are some files there and there is an image, one file actually might be able to read those pixels and that malware code and actually install something on your device without you knowing. Or you can just hide some malicious data. Basically, hide stolen data. I mentioned earlier, like if you're exfiltrating something that you really shouldn't, you can hide it into something that you can download from a device you're in. So these are the ways how the attackers might use steganography for deception. Basically, the deception is persuading whoever might be observing that there's nothing suspicious going on. And if it's successful, then yeah, good for the attackers, I guess. But yeah, the difference between steganography and encryption is the important part. So steganography hides the fact that some information exists, encryption doesn't. Encryption just encrypts it, and it's designed not to be broken, while steganography is designed not to be found, and that's the main difference. Encryption can be found, but it shouldn't be broken. Steganography shouldn't be found. Of course, we can encrypt like steganography additionally, but again, the questions are how will it degrade the carrier or not? So let's continue with the practical part of this, and we can analyze our photo further. So let's install EXIF tool, which is a nice open source software, and it's used for manipulating metadata of files of any type. So I know that some of you are like going through these commands a bit in advance, so if you haven't done this already, you have time now. So we can install it. Also, it should also work in the SCL. So these commands that I'm showing now should work the same way both in CyberLab and CTU Dockers. And we install it with apt install libimage exif tool Perl. So okay, I already have it installed from. And now we're gonna actually apply this EXIF tool to our Poirot image. And I'm gonna give you some time to do it, but you can see, hopefully, metadata here, like file size, some modification dates and times. Sorry? Okay, yeah, thanks. Anyone else having issues? Yeah, okay. But also, if we then look here in the comment, we see another hidden message that says, did you know you can put a comment in the photo? Which is very nice. Another way to hide data or messages in photos. And actually, like the examples that I have shown you so far are very, very, very simple to do. You basically, in your Linux environment, run the echo command and append, or like if you don't want to override the entire file, into the file, and you get it. So like we can try this echo new message to Poirot books, and then using strings or XSD, we'll be able to see this new message. So if we again do strings Poirot books, we see the new message. So it's a very simple way to hide at least these simple messages in photos. Are we okay? Yes, thank you. Now with EXIF tools, there's a separate command, like if you want to hide it like in that comment, as we did before. And the command is exiftool dash comment, because that's the part of the metadata where we want to hide it in, our text, and then the name of the carrier where we want to put that text. And just like information, this command will overwrite the previous comment. Unlike the previous one, we just added a new string to the photo that we had before. So exiftool comment, you can write something, hack the planet, for example. Let me check the... Okay. So there was some issue with the exclamation mark. But, and if we examine our photo again, we see the new comment here. Ah, okay, so it's due to this. So let me change it here to this. This should actually give us the entire string. So exiftool. No. Probably due to the font. Okay, we need to like manually change these. Okay, now it works. So we see the new comment here. Did everyone manage to do this? And yeah, there are many ways to do this simple stuff. You can Google it, you can ask ChatGPT, of course. But now let's actually take a look at how we can hide a file in a photo. So not just the text message, but actually entire file. And for that, we're going to use steghide, a very nice tool that allows us to do so. So we're going to need to install it quickly. And we're going to download a new photo. And this photo is a very nice photo. It's one of the... We can even examine it here. It's a nice cat. Anything strange in this photo? Looks AI generated. But the thing is, I think this photo exists before like this diffusion models, and like I've been working with it for a few years now, so I think it's just a nice photo, but maybe it could be, I don't know, one of the early AI generation tools. But I mean, other than that, I mean, there shouldn't be, because we still haven't modified the photo, so it should be fine. But just to see if you're maybe biased towards that. Okay, so let's prepare the file that we want to hide. So we can echo our message, like this is a hidden message. We're gonna put it in our file called hidden.txt. See, should be here, nice. And now we're gonna hide that file into this cat photo. So does everybody have the photo and the file? Nice. So we're gonna use the steghide command, and embed says that we want to embed something. EF is the file we want to hide. CF is the carrier file, in this case the cat photo. And it will ask you for a password. You can not put a password, or you can. It's for you to desteganize it later. But remember it, because you're gonna need it to access the file later. So I'm just gonna put something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes? We good? Steghide could not open the file hide.txt. Ah, it's hidden, yes. Thank you. Good. Now that we've hidden our file in the photo, we can actually examine the photo to see if it degraded its quality for some reason. So this is where we differ, mock people and CTU people. Mock people from your host computer and CTU people also from your host computer goes the next command. So mock students, you do the SCP. You do not confirm the identity of the remote server or do not store remote host public key. And at the port 2222 and download the photo that you have in your SCLs, because that's the modified photo. That's why we have to download it from there. And remember, your SCL password is bytedem, probably missing H here, 123. And CTU people, we can do it with this command. You just need your Docker port and your Docker IP, again from your host machine. Yes, so I should have my cat here. So this is the photo with the file injected in. I don't think it looks degraded, at least not to like the human eye inspection. Now if we were to apply some software to this, or even if we were to compare sizes of this photo and the original photo, you would see the size difference. But what might be counterintuitive is that this modified photo will actually have smaller size and not bigger, even though we put file in there, because steghide does some unpacking and then repacking of the file, so at the end it can even end up smaller. So it's okay, but that's actually one way how you can figure out if the file was tampered with. Okay, so now we can go back to our Dockers and SCL, and we can extract the file. And if you just do command like this, it will extract the file with the name that's like hidden in the photos. For me, it's hidden.txt. If you want it as another file, for example, because you already have in your Dockers now the hidden.txt or hide.txt, you can add this dash xf flag and name of the file where you want to store the contents of what you have hidden in the photo. Okay? And it's gonna ask you for the passphrase. Output.txt 5. Okay, so if I cat the output.txt, I see the hidden message. Now, how one might know for this? Well, if you're participating in the communication that's exchanging the steganography or these photos, you will probably know the passphrase, so you will be able to extract it. If not, if you're detecting some unsolicited communication, then you'll probably have to guess it or brute force it or get to the passphrase some other way. So before the break, okay, questions? No? Briefly on steg analysis, basically science or study of detecting messages hidden.
Sorry, there is one question.
Hidden, yeah.
There's some uncertainty about the usage of the password in this example. So if you can reiterate on that.
Yeah. So the steghide here asks for a passphrase. Basically, we are hiding something, and we don't want anyone to be able to have access to what we are hiding, except for the person with whom we are exchanging this communication. So they should somehow know the passphrase, or it should be for you to desteganize it. But in case you're caught, someone at least shouldn't be able to get that data that you were exfiltrating. So that's why we need a, but I mean, you don't have to put the passphrase here if you just think that hiding something will be sufficient. You don't have to use passphrase. You can just rely on the steganography that is on security by obscurity. But if you want that extra layer of protection to your data, then yeah. Yep, good. So steganalysis is basically figuring out if there is steganography happening and where is it. It's like there's cryptanalysis to cryptography, so we have steganalysis to steganography, basically, and it's very hard. I mean, companies even offer it as a service. As I said, like this could be an entire course on its own. You can check that whether the protocol or the format was violated. Some statistical anomalies, like this anomaly detection in like carriers, is amazing thing and very hard to do. But there's a lot of like machine learning can be applied here a lot, and AI for analysis of all of this and recognizing steganography, also figuring out how the carrier degrades when you hide stuff in it. Very fun. And yeah, basically you can look for inconsistencies in data compression, distortion of neighboring pixels, anything. So yeah, if you want to have some fun during the break, mock people, you as well, CTU people, you can find some nice photo or a meme, we like memes, or whatever, and hide some messages for all of us there, and you can put it in the random channel in the matrix if you want. And just make sure it's class appropriate and doesn't violate any ethical guidelines, otherwise you're good. And yeah, okay, let's do our first break and see you at 49. Thank you. All right, I think we can continue. By the way, big thanks to Lukáš for this photo. We desteganized it and we got the secret message. If you want to see the secret message, well, you have to desteganize it for yourself. We're not going to spoil the fun for you, but it works, definitely. We tried it, so nice. So, are we now ready to defend? This is going to be actually the majority of our class today. Everything from this point on, we're going to be defenders and using deception for defending. So, let's put our good hat on. So, why do we as defenders want to use cyberdeception? So, one thing is we basically want to trap the attackers and ideally, you know, see what they are doing, how they are behaving in our system, hopefully stall them so they don't touch the actual system we are protecting, or maybe just even get the alert that we are being attacked. So yeah, get alerts, track their movement, learn their behavior, stall them, and we can actually discover both external and internal threats. That just depends what we deploy as our deception and where do we deploy it. And as defenders, there are many examples of how we can use deception. And the most common are honey systems, or maybe you've heard of it, honeypots. Now, does anyone... They are basically decoy systems designed to attract attackers. So does anyone maybe know or guess why they're called honeypots? It's actually very intuitive. Yes.
Like trying to trying to attract bees or some flies or something on like some sweet, well, most likely drinks, but before on some, well, honey pots, open vessel with something sweet inside, which attracts flies and bees and wasps and something.
Yeah.
In order to trap them and most likely kill them, just not to make them fly on the things we are about to eat or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of around there. It's basically something that looks so nice and so alluring that you just have to touch it, you know, get your fingers in it, but then your fingers get sticky from the honey and then you get caught with the evidence on your fingers, basically. So yeah, we have honeypots, which can be literally full systems, and then we can like even look at smaller units like Honeytokens, which are often, you know, honey files or honey words. Honey file is basically a fake file, like I mentioned in the previous part, you know, that can contain fake credentials. When they're used, you get an alert. Basically, these fake credentials would be these honey words. The file, if it's opened, if it's some PDF, when it's clicked and open, you get an alert, oh, somebody's touching something they shouldn't. Another way how defenders might use deception, and this is a, now bear with me, like it's interesting thing to think about, is notifying attackers of deception. That's a very, say, interesting, somewhat novel approach, and it was actually tested by Kimberly Ferguson Walter. There's a very nice research. It's kind of like for cybersecurity deception researchers, it's like the holy scripture, you know. It's one of the most extensive evaluations of deception on humans, and they basically explore, okay, if we tell the attackers there might be deception here, how do they behave? And then you basically see the attacker, some of them leave immediately, some of them actually stay and try to, you know, attack it further. It's very interesting, but basically whatever gets them from touching the real services is good to go. Of course, some attackers think that this notifying about deception is the deception, so they think, okay, there's nothing else, so we go there. Some examples from real-life stories, like the first usage of Honeypot in the cybersecurity context was by Clifford Stoll. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's a very great guy, very, you know, eccentric and, you know, knows a lot of things, and truly amazing guy even to listen to. Here's a very nice talk of his, not about this topic, but in general, but just like to see how his mind works is amazing. And when he was a young student, like we are now, he was working at a Berkeley library because, you know, they had computers. It was a new thing then, and, you know, he always liked to experiment with new things and stuff. And he was checking some financial data, and he noticed that there's some discrepancy between how many times a service was accessed versus how much money there was. And he actually noticed that someone was getting into their systems through a vulnerability. And through some exploration and following what the attacker is doing, he noticed that it's a KGB agent looking for some files. So he wasn't sure what to do there, how he could prove that he has malicious intentions. And actually his girlfriend suggested to him, okay, why don't you put fake computers, fake files there and see if he goes for that. So he actually took her advice, which was a very smart idea. And he deployed basically a first honeypot, and put some like nuclear codes or something. I mean, mind you, it was like the first time of using Cyberdeception, so someone actually really could fall for such a trap, even though it might look a bit naive to us. And the attacker actually did, and they traced it back to Berlin or something. It was very fun. It's in this book, The Cuckoo's Egg, if you're interested in reading, but that was the first case of somebody using Cyberdeception to trap attacker and to see what they are doing, how they're moving, their tactics, their methodology. And it was actually very useful because it was a serious threat. But okay, so we're gonna start our defensive deception journey slowly with this smallest unit of deception, which are Honeytokens, which, as I've mentioned, mimic specific data or like modify the real data in order to inform us about the attack. They don't offer us much more than that. They're mainly there to inform us that somebody infiltrated us or got some data that they shouldn't. And it can be documents, users, passwords, even Active Directory users, server users, URL tokens, and we're actually gonna work with one of these now. So if we go to Cowrie, it's a very nice service website that helps us create many Honeytokens. So we basically we see here the first one, the URLs, but there are many others, DNS, also AWS infrastructure, credit cards, like you can put the credit card numbers as a honeypot. Of course, you put it then in some place where no benign actor should go, where, you know, if they are touched, it's only by the malicious actor, so you actually know you're under attack. So credit cards, like this one is really nice. Get an alert when an attacker clones your website. Very nice. So you can explore this in your free time, of course. There's a fake Microsoft Excel document, Word, everything. We can do the simple URL today because for some of these you need some other data. But basically for the URL you will just need the email and some reminder for yourself when somebody triggers your token to remember which one it is if you have multiple. And I've actually done it before. You can see my token here, and like once you put your email you will get the link for logs. You should get it on your email, and then you can see who is touching your token. And I see, you can see the nice log history. You see a lot of people interacting with my honey token today. I don't know if I scroll all the way back because I have something from November of last year. Also December, you see people. And you also see the locations from where the attacks are coming. Are mock students. You see we have some in Canada, in United States, Argentina. It's mostly Czech Republic, of course. Makes sense. But basically the point of this, and like why these honey tokens make sense, is you just have to put them somewhere where if they are touched, you know it's by attacker. And that's the point of them. If somebody is, for example, checking, you know, doing the scrape of your website, looking for all the possible paths and ways, so which they, you know, shouldn't be doing, then they trigger this, and you know somebody's trying maybe to do path reversal or something. And there are many of these. Like if you want, you can create your own. You can share it on Matrix, of course. You can watch the logs. Many of these. So again, it's something very simple. The point of honey tokens is just to alert us of infiltration. Not much about them, but they are a very useful thing for this alert type of situations. Now, if we want more, then we actually go into honeypots. And in this part, Yes. Yeah, if you.
So the Honeytoken website is like used in a way that we like embed it into our website onto the onto a place where we wouldn't expect somebody to load something from there.
Yes.
And like if a some scraping takes place, it would be likely to be loaded. And this is like the way we use it, or?
Yes, basically, not just where you don't expect someone to go, where someone shouldn't go, where, you know, going is really not okay. Basically, if deception is touched, it's attack. And you have every right to treat that person as an attacker. So yeah, put it there, and if it's touched, you're alert, and yeah, that's it. Thank you. Any more questions before we move into honeypots? Because honeypots are the basically main part of today, and the assignment is going to be about honeypots. So, okay. So, let's then do honeypots. And they are basically all these resources whose value lies in being probed, attacked, and compromised. And they need to be deceptive, which means, you know, they have to trick the person that they are a genuine system or genuine thing. They need to be discoverable, because if the attacker can discover them and they are in your system, then it's not really, there's no point of having a honeypot if it's impossible to find. You won't get the alert, you won't monitor attacker. And they need to be somewhat interactive. Even these honey tokens are interactive in the sense they give you some feedback. So, and monitored. You need to see the logs, you need to get some information from it. Who attacked you, when, why. Okay, you don't know why, but you can, depending on the type of the honeypot, as we will soon see. And as I mentioned, any attempt to communicate with a honeypot is by definition an attack. No legitimate users or application should ever touch a honeypot. So if you are a security engineer and you're deploying honeypots in your system, your external or internal network, you need to do it in such a way that a benign user will never touch it. The honeypots should be touched only by attackers, and anyone who touches them is an attacker. So it shouldn't interfere with the day-to-day business or anything, never. And yeah, so if we have a honeypot that simulates actually an entire system like a Linux shell, we can actually monitor attackers and we can see the commands that they are doing, how they're moving, how they operate, why, etc. So yeah, we track them, we learn their actions, and we gain knowledge. And the knowledge can be simple information that we are attacked, to the more information like who is attacking us, from where, what the attack is, so on. So we're gonna start with honeypots simple. We're gonna create a very, very simple honeypot that will mainly just alert us of some funny business, but also give us some additional information. Okay, so for this, we're gonna create a directory. I think I even, yeah. So create a directory, tmp public share, and go there. Now this is just to show you how some like simple service can be deployed and used as a honeypot. As I mentioned in the first part of the lecture, like some things are not deception themselves, but they can be used for deception. Now we're gonna actually use a very simple Python server as a honeypot. Okay, I'm actually gonna do these steps in the Cyberlab. Okay, and we're gonna echo a message into a file. So this is just the preparation for all of this. So we are echoing not a honeypot into a readme MD. And I'm gonna do the same thing in the CTU dockers. And now we get to the interesting part. We're gonna use Tmux. We've like worked with it so far, I think almost every lecture. And we're just gonna start a new session in the detached mode. We're gonna call it first Honeypot. And the command that will execute is Python 3-m HTTP server 80, the most basic Python command to open a simple HTTP server on your port 80. And we will serve the contents of this public share directory. Okay? So the command should be the same both for the mock students and for the CTU students. So okay, and now we are gonna visit our old friend called Nmap because you're gonna scan each other. Please be careful how you're gonna copy or type this command so you don't scan outside of the allowed range, okay? And scan only the port 80. Mock students, you won't be able to scan each other or us. You will have to nmap yourself, but still you will see the logs, so not much more we can sadly do now, but still you will see everything that you are supposed to see and do. So, CTU students, let's start nmapping. Might take some time. And mock students, you nmap the local host, that is yourself, from the SCL, not from your host computers. Okay, so the CTU one will take some time because we're all scanning now, but you will see something similar, just more computers, as we see here in the SCL, and you should see some open port 80s. But we can also check our Honeypot and our logs. That is our Tmux, because we are serving the HTTP there. So you should see something like this if you get into your Tmux screen. Okay, my nmap has finished, CTU as well. CTU students, did you get the nmap results? Okay, they're still coming. People are scanning. So I'm gonna give you now some time to get this, to see the logs. These are basically the logs of this attack. Remember, reconnaissance is part of the cyber kill chain. Are we good on the internet? Yes. So, for this very nice T-Rex provided by Veronica, who can tell me what do we see in these logs? What is the useful information for us here? Do we learn? Okay, we have, okay, he was faster, but yeah.
We can see that a lot of clients were asking for things that were not present on the server.
Okay.
And that they received some error codes and some other things.
Okay. What else do we? Is there something like useful that we can learn from all of this?
Well, a lot of it comes from the same IP address.
Yes, but is everything from the same IP address?
Well, most likely not everything, but from what's on the screen, most stuff.
Okay, and do we learn anything else? So we learned the IP, that's good. We know from where the attack is coming.
Well, it's all in a short time span.
Okay.
Right?
And yeah, we see the date of the attack, the time, and these commands. How can we know what is going on? Okay, we see these errors and get messages. Is there
Well-
something interesting? It went away. Maybe I'll switch to this one. But yeah, very good so far. Like, how can we know what the attackers are trying to do? Yes.
They seem to try different methods of requests to know which type of server it is. They try
Okay, just a second. So the answer is they try different types of requests, so they know what kind of server it is. Very nice. Oof. Here you go.
Yeah, and they seem to use Nmap to check for characters.
Yes,
And
Nmap.
they possibly may even try some known exploits, like they are trying to access some APIs on
Mhm. And how do we know it's Nmap?
API, and it seems to be some kind of attack or probing.
Yeah, I mean, it's Nmap, as you said. We see here Nmap over check.
People
So-
in the internet also
Yes, people.
say that the nmap flow check looks suspicious in the logs.
Yeah, and it basically is. It tells us, okay, somebody's scanning our ports. There's somebody's running Nmap on, trying to probably reconnaissance, figure out open ports and services. Okay, so did you all manage to get the logs stuff? Okay, so it's very nice. We learned some info. We learned if somebody's trying to scan us and what they are doing, which command even, which is very nice. We know the IP, we know the date and time of the attack, which is also very useful information. But there are some problems with this honeypot as we've seen it now. What are they? I have a Mando here. Any problems, or is everything perfect, fine, and dandy? Okay, let me help you a bit. How did we run this honeypot, and where did we run it? And by how, I mean which user ran it?
We run it as the regular reuser, so it's on the same server as our normal server.
Yes, and not just any regular user, we ran it as root, if you remember, yeah, which is really not a good idea to run deceptions in your environments as root, because, you know, you are running stuff, which means if somebody manages to leverage that, they automatically get root privileges if they break into your system. So really tricky. Also, yeah, it's inside our environment where our stuff is. We don't want people to touch our stuff. Also, another issue, we have some logs like this, but remember we are running in Tmax, so if we close it, we lose the logs. We don't store. Okay, this was a very simple command, but that's one of the issues. We want to permanently save logs somewhere so they can be analyzed later, because you can't always analyze all the attacks or the traffic that you get in the moment, because, you know, you're getting a lot of attacks in the moment. We have you literally, it can be millions of packets, so you can't analyze it. Also, maybe you want to go through that later. So basically, yes, the problems are it runs as root, not separated from real system. Logs are not stored, and there are more things going on here. So this was a very simple honeypot, and we will actually do some characterization of honeypots so that we know the difference in the future, because we're gonna need it. But basically there are many forms. We can have entire systems. Basically, we can simulate Linux, Windows operating systems, navigation systems. They can be services like our HTTP server or some SSH, SMB, Telnet, whatever, and the Honeytokens that we mentioned earlier. But most of the time, we differentiate honeypots based on the level of interaction that they get. And we have 3 main ones. The low interaction honeypots. Basically, the attacker is very limited in things they can do. They really can't, if they touch that honeypot, they can't do much. They don't have freedom to move around that system or explore it. They maybe learn something about it, but they can't, they don't have possibility to do much like the Honeytokens. They touch them and that's it. And they are very low risk for us as defenders because, again, attacker doesn't have the freedom. The opposite of that ones are high interaction honeypots where basically you give the attacker everything. You're like, go ahead. And they can do commands, they can create stuff, delete stuff, try stuff, move around, whatever. We learn a lot from it. Basically, all the steps, commands, we can maybe try to figure out how they're reasoning, what they're trying to do, but they are very high risk because you let attackers do everything. So if you're not running it carefully, if you're running it as a root or in a system that you are supposed to protect, and then the honeypot itself has a vulnerability which it allows attackers to escape from the honeypot into your system, you've given them privileges, root privileges if you run it as root. You give them all the files that you don't want to give them. So it's very delicate thing, but we learn a lot, so balance. And there are medium interaction honeypots which are kind of between these 2 extremes. You limit some stuff for the attackers, yet you allow them something else. You try to balance, okay, how much you want to learn and like how much you want freedom you want to give them. So what interaction level was the honeypot that we deployed like 5 minutes ago? Yes, slow interaction, that's absolutely correct. Why? Yes, very limited what the attackers can do. Basically, you could, with scanning, you could touch it, you could maybe do encat because you know that the port 80 is open, but not much more than that. Well, now we're gonna do more than that. We're actually gonna simulate an entire system, and we're gonna use Cowrie for that. And Cowrie is a medium to high interaction SSH and Telnet honeypot. And with it, we basically can log brute force attacks, all the interaction that the attacker is doing. We can see the credentials that they are using to attack us. We can see the IP address. We can even figure out if it's a human bot, anything. It's a very nice tool, and it's very configurable, which is probably why it's one of the most used honeypots in the industry still today. So it's a very important thing to know when talking about deception and honeypots, Cowrie. And actually for CTU students, the assignment tonight is gonna be about Cowrie, so you're gonna need it in your Dockers. So please follow carefully through these steps to install. So we're gonna need to, these dependencies are installed for the CTU students, but SCL, mock students, you will probably need to install the virtual environment. So please run this command now in your Strato Cyber Labs. Okay, I'm gonna run it there as well. Here, and yeah, I'm gonna go to the file. And now we're gonna go through the installation of Cowrie because it's not too intuitive to install it, and we need to go through this so that we can set it up properly in our Dockers, okay? So we're gonna start by adding user Cowrie, because as we've established so far, we don't wanna run Honeypot as root. So we're gonna add user Cowrie without password. So just run the add user disabled password Cowrie. Go to, and yeah, go to your home folders. No name, no room number, nothing, information is correct. Okay. And go do su Cowrie. And from now on, everything that we are doing as Cowrie, not as root. So please make sure to do it like that. So run the honeypots not as a root user, but user with lower privileges. Because you will be attacking each other soon, so we don't want problems. And we're gonna clone the Cowrie repository, git clone from GitHub. If there are any issues, there are teachers here, we can help you, just call us, okay? Also, online people, write us. Somebody is there checking the stuff. And we're gonna move into the Cowrie directory. So from this home Cowrie, or just if you're Cowrie from the Cowrie directory, we're gonna follow up. Are we good so far? Okay, thank you. So we're gonna start the virtual environment. Oh, I lost internet, it seems. Yeah, I did. Let me, okay. So we're gonna start virtual environment because we're gonna want to install some dependencies and other things that we don't want to install in the real system. Okay, created virtual environment, you should see a message, something like this. And we're gonna activate it with this command, source, Cowrie environment, bin activate. And Cowrie env comes from the name that we gave to our virtual environment. So when you activate it successfully, you should see this before your hostname string. And now we're gonna need to install some more packages. Right. So it's important that these steps work for you and that you manage to install Cowrie, because we're gonna need it for the assignment and possibly even later on. So please, any issues, tell us. Thanks. This might take some time, I think. Okay, yeah, we're running. Okay, and now from recently we can even use pip with Cowrie. It was a new addition. So this step might take some time, and while that happens, I have a very important information for the mock people. So you might want to look at my screen now, because I'm gonna show you something. Wait, I lost the internet. Let me do this again. Not sure what's going on. Gonna activate the environment. E. Right. Okay, hopefully connection stays stable. Okay, so mock people, very interesting information for you. Look at my screen, I'm gonna show you something. So this is something you might find very useful for you. Notice this nice word and this nice art around. See how nice it is. Someone put effort to do this. Okay, I think you've had enough of this. So, how are we doing so far? Good, bad, bored, sleepy, tired? Going through the 5th existential crisis of the day. Thursday as usual. Okay. Are we okay on the internet? Okay. Okay, so for me the installation has finished. Did you also manage to install these packages? I'm gonna take that as a yes. Silence is the sign of approval. So we're gonna need to create a configuration file to be able to run Cowrie. We just have to copy something from one place to another. No need to go into details why. You can write to the author of Cowrie, check with him. Okay, now I mentioned that Cowrie is both SSH and Telnet honeypot, but Telnet is by default not enabled, so we're gonna need to enable it. And we're gonna do it by editing this config file. So we're gonna do vim or vi etc Cowrie config. And the line where this should be to change it 669, you can do a nice trick of colon 669, and we see here press I to go into the interactive mode. Enable telnet support, so we're gonna change this false to true. We're gonna exit and write, so W write, Q quit. Okay. So now the telnet is open as well, and then we start Cowrie with a simple command, Cowrie start. Okay, and it says starting Cowrie. There are also things like Cowrie stop, Cowrie restart. We will see why we need those. Also there's a Cowrie status. Okay, Cowrie is running. It also gives us the process ID. Another way is how we can check that our Cowrie is running properly is PSAFX. We should be able to see our Cowrie here in our Cowrie environment. Okay. Also, we can check if the ports are open. Cowrie is running on 2 ports now that we've enabled telnet. The SSH port is 2222. 2222, and the telnet one is 2223. So we can do net stat amp, and we can see our ports open. Okay, so if you see this, your Cowrie is running. Anyone have any issues? Somebody that doesn't see this in their Dockers, SCL people, the same goes for you. Okay. So now let's play with it. Let's attack each other. So share your IP like previously in the general chat and politely ask your colleagues and classmates to attack you. So I should be 0. I'm 9. Let me check. I think I'm 9. Config. Oh no, I'm here. Be 9. Yeah. So let's attack each other, and please try to like put your IPs here. Here. because we're gonna be attacking each other, and we need to attack each other so that we all get logs in our Cowrie. Okay, so the command for the, again, SCL people, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to attack yourself, but don't worry. Yeah, when you try to connect to the port 2222 to get into Cowrie, you will be asked for a password. Just put anything and see if you manage to get in, okay? So I'm gonna do, was the, some IP, okay, of Tomasz. I'm gonna attack Tomasz. So SSH, it's root at IP port 2222. Yes. So if I try, for example, password root, oh, I can't get in. Let me try password. Yep. And I'm in. So get in and then play. Try stuff, do stuff, try commands, move around, see what happens. Basically, do whatever you want. You can even try to attack multiple of your colleagues. Don't be afraid. Try ping. We're pinging. Nice. We can try W uptime. LL. Oh, command not found. LS ALH. What if I do PS SAFX? Ooh, look at all this stuff. You can check the files, like password file. There are users. So play. You have like, try multiple IP addresses. I'm gonna connect to someone else. For example, SSH root at P2222. Yes, yep. We're in. Input list. No command. Oh no. Can I read the TC? Did anyone find anything interesting that you would like to share? Like, this is time for you now to try stuff, to play around. You can also try to connect to Cowrie using Telnet. So you're using, instead of SSH, Telnet, IP, and the port 2223, and then you'll be asked for user, just use root, okay? Try many things, explore, play around. We have time. This is your time to try stuff hands-on. Also, SCL people, you do it to your local host. So I'm gonna get again someone. Here. Telnet. Don't need this. Root. Okay, I can even go in with Telnet. Again, I see the same. There are files. I leave. Okay. So, did you all try it? Did you log into each other? I hope someone attacked me. Yes, we have a question. Okay, here. Oof. Wait, I'll. Yep.
Thank you. I noticed that the CPU is Intel Core 2 Duo, which is not the one the host machine is actually running.
Okay.
I also noticed that when I try to delete root, it disconnects me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice protection.
it seems to almost emulate some completely different computer, almost as if it was running in some virtual machine. Or it looks like it to me.
Yeah, that's very nice findings. Thank you for sharing. Here you go. Anyone else would like to comment on what they saw? Okay, we'll get at some point what all these things mean and how they can maybe help someone figure something out. But now, I hope somebody attacked me because I need to show you logs. Of course, we said for Honeypot to be useful, we need to monitor all the connections to it and we need to see what people are doing. So we're gonna access the logs now and see the attacks that we got, what is going on there. So we go to var log Cowrie and we get Cowrie log. Ooh, nice. I was attacked. Okay, I'm just gonna decrease it a bit. So, do you see in your logs, if you were attacked, hopefully, something like this? Or if not, you can look here, but basically, if you open the log file with less, you should see something like this. And interesting stuff comes. So we see here some basic startup info ready to accept SSH connections. It's also running on 2223. And then we have an interesting thing here, which is new connection from the IP 172.20.065. So we know who attacked us. We know the IP. What's interesting further is, if we go down this log files, can someone show here or pinpoint to the next interesting thing that's really nice to see? Something that's really useful, like that we can learn. Yeah, I can help you. It's below this new keys, one of the lines. So we see someone actually trying to log in as root to our service, and we see the login attempt here, and we see the username and the password that was used to log in. Now that's some valuable info, right? Login attempt, root, gibberish, succeeded. So basically, we can monitor new connections, we can monitor what credentials were used to get into our trap, but also, look at this, what do we see here? We see commands. I mean, what they were trying to do, what they were doing in our system. They started with ls, then they did touch command to me, and touch exists. List doesn't exist. htop not found. psafx command found. So we see basically behavior of the attacker. If we also, we can check the logs in JSON file. They are, if you like want to programmatically parse it and draw some information like this, they are not as readable as the previous version, but you can see all the same stuff. For example, login failed, root, login failed, we can even search by specific strings. For example, if we want to check new connections, we do slash and then new connection. And we see here, okay, every time a new connection happens, it leads us there. It's to parse the logs easier. Also get comfortable about analyzing the logs. Trust me, you will need it. It will definitely come in handy. You can also check print just the new connections. For example, see, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I had 6 connections, 4 unique ones. Someone was persistent a few times. It's very nice. Also, if somebody, because your Cowries are still running, if somebody is attacking you in the moment, you can even watch the attacks in real time. So if I do tail, I think we see stuff going on. Actually, logs, new connections, we track in real time what's going on. Okay, let me stop this. And a very nice feature of Cowrie, which I like, is that it records TTY sessions and we can actually replay them. So if we check all the sessions of someone connecting to our computer, sorry, maybe I need to, I need to go back, to Cowrie. And then if check the, okay, so these are all the connections recorded of people trying to get to my computer. So I will just copy ID of one of these, for example, this one. How much? So yeah, I can do this one, 113K. This one is the biggest, I think. And let me make it really visible. If we do play log, which is a command to replay sessions, and put the ID of our session, we should be able to replay the entire session and see how it happened in real time. Very nice. This way we're also like watching the rerun of attackers' movements. Maybe it's easier to analyze logs like this if it's a interesting attack or session.
Can you say what is the benefit of having that in contrast with just the logs with all the commands and information?
For me, it's more visible. You see how they're moving. You even like can sense the time between the commands, so you can maybe see if they thought more about something or less. And it's just more visual. Of course, you can't replay every possible session that you had because you don't have that much time. Most of the time still you get from the regular logs and the data, but if there's really something interesting in those logs, it's very nice to replay it to see exactly step by step how the interaction was happening, even the time it took between some commands. Here we see, okay, them trying, typing, changing their mind, deleting, going forth and back, which is nice. And this was a longer session. Oh, look, they're even trying to install something. It's always fun to see people installing things in your computers, and they give up eventually when they don't get a response, and then they leave. Okay, so let's do a break. See you in 10 minutes. So it's at 4:56, and then we're gonna beautify Cowrie. All right. Think we can continue with the last part of the class. I know we are tired and want to go home, but please, people, can we continue, please? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I know you're a bit tired, but we're gonna do the fun part now, and then we go home. Okay? So, yeah, please. So, we saw a very simple honeypot so far. We saw Cowrie at the end of the previous segment, and there are some problems with honeypots. I think you're all aware of them by now. One of them is in the identification and what we call fingerprinting, basically figuring out if it's a honeypot. As the colleague earlier mentioned, there were many issues and discrepancies that didn't make sense. That's basically what attackers are looking for when they're trying to figure out if they're in a real system or a honeypot. Also, honeypots as well can have some of their own vulnerabilities, especially if the high interaction ones, because they're simulating the entire system. So if they're using some library that has a vulnerability, you know. Now, do honeypots, when they are deployed on the internet for attackers to attack, do they attract more attackers? Nobody really knows. It's possible. Doesn't have to mean. And like, you probably wouldn't put them in your production servers because, you know, people can interact, and if they break out of the sandboxed environment, you have an issue there. So this raises a question: what is a good cyber deception, and how do we measure it? And basically, the good one is the one that works, and we don't know exactly how we can measure that. Yes.
Just excuse me, what was the point with the like in the enumeration a bit higher on the page? There was like whether they attack, whether they attract more attackers. That means like whether they are of higher frequency of attacks, or?
Well, ideally we want honeypots to alert us if we have an attack, but maybe if we have honeypots, we will draw in more attacks than we would usually have in our system, which would be a bigger issue for now because we have more people attacking us. So we're not sure about that part. It's hard to tell if they attract more or not because there's a lot of attacks on the internet, but there were some, you know, people mentioning that possibility that, you know, you're actually, especially, you know, inviting some people to attack you, those who are looking to probe, and those who have experience with it might be able to break it, but we don't know. Again, a lot of things here are ambiguous. As I will explain now, it's very hard to measure deception and what works, what doesn't work, because we can't get into heads of attackers. So yeah, basically in this class we worked with Cowrie. So if you were an attacker, how would you recognize it? We heard in the previous block some things that were kind of indicators, but what is something like obvious that you would recognize? Okay, this is Cowrie, not just any honeypot, this is Cowrie. Like, let me attack again one of you. So if you get in this, like, what tells you, okay, this is Cowrie, not just any honeypot? And I think you should see something here that you saw also in your like computers when you played with it. Like, is there something on the screen that's the same as it was in your computers? Hostname, exactly. Thank you. Okay, at least the location was right this time. Nice, getting better. Yes, the hostname, like SVR4, it's the basic one. Also look, empty, nothing in the home directory. Also, this is a telltale of Cowrie, the certain Mr. Phil, California. I think if you all go there, you will see Phil hanging around Cowrie. So basically, yeah, is there anything else? Like mock students, you can join in here. write the answers, how you would recognize Cowrie. Yeah, hostname. Thank you, Dale. Anything else maybe that you've noticed typical for Cowrie? I'm gonna give you some time here, can get back to it. But basically, this is some of the things that the attackers look for when they're trying to, if they suspect honeypot and then they try to figure out if they're in a real system or honeypot, they're gonna check this, like when they get in. Is there something related to Cowrie that can arouse their suspicion before they get in? Yes? The default port, thank you, because the default ports for Cowrie are 2222 and 2223, and especially if you're scanning network and see both of those open, very suspicious. Most likely we're dealing with Cowrie. Also, they can do traffic analysis, absence of legitimate traffic, nothing running on the open port. Inside Honeypot, small number of files. Could be, not necessarily. You could be like in a small IoT device that's running Linux or something, so it doesn't have much files. It's not unheard of. A lot of IoT devices can be used as honeypots. But depends, like if it's, if you're probing some company and you get to a computer that you are pretty confident is used by someone, then probably, you know, small number of files can be a suspicion indicator. Too juicy names of files like passwords, secrets and stuff could be, but we also know that people are often unburdened with intelligence and really store stuff, their passwords in passwords.txt in plain text. So it's not impossible. It could be a trap. It couldn't. This is why it's hard to measure all of this, if it works, if it doesn't. Of course, the commands that do not return the expected output, if you do ls and it does something completely different, that's pretty good indicator of something not being all right. They even there are even scripts to check if that's a virtual machine that is running, like in an interpreter. It goes a bit outside of the scope of this class, but just so you know about the possibility. And yeah, it requires experience, basically attackers with experience. Even they can sometimes fall for it, but the difference is how fast they figure it out and then what they do when they figure it out. Some leave immediately, some don't. Depends what their goal is. But also we can detect tools that are scanning honeypots. There's a very nice article or blog, but Cowrie, so you can read it here. There are some tools for it as well, so even it's, you know, constant game of cat and mouse with defenders and attackers. So they come up with something, we have to come up with 10 things to mitigate it at one thing. They always kind of have it easier than we do. But yeah, the hard part is exactly this. We don't know what they are thinking when they attack us. We can assume based on these commands that we see, or if we replay a session or check the logs. But again, it doesn't have to, it's not completely objective because we are still making assumptions. And we don't know if they leave quickly, did they suspect a honeypot, or did they lose, you know, connection or something else happen. And to like evaluate if our honeypots are good is also very hard. There are few things that we can do. One of them is, you know, you deploy them on the internet, put some password like admin or 12345 and you let them being attacked. And then you monitor the logs and stuff. But the issue with that is a lot and probably most of the attacks on the internet are bots. It's not humans. You know, humans write the scripts and they let the bots do the stuff. So we still don't know if humans fall for the deception or not. So, okay, and like to get a human touch your deployed honeypot is really rare. We run an experiment a year ago or so, less than a year ago, where we deployed a few honeypots to monitor some stuff. And in 5 days, we got one human attacker, and they basically had their bots who were getting into our honeypot, trying to install some script so that they make the device part of a broader botnet. So one attacker, you know, got their bot. It was getting there. It was trying to install stuff. It reported that it was installed, that it was activated, but the attacker didn't see the computer in their botnet. So they manually went in to see what's going on. At least that's what we are assuming based on their behavior. And they were there for some time. They were checking why the script that was installed is not running, or that it's running but is not connecting to their command control server. And then eventually they left. Now did they figure it out or not? Again, we're not in their head, so we don't know. But it was a very fun thing to see, and it's not common that you get a real human attacking you, so we're always happy when we see it. Of course, and we can also do an experiment where we do an experiment and then there is a survey later, but then again, it's hard because of this bias, because you just mention Honeypot to someone and they might think that some interaction was Honeypot even though it wasn't, so it skews the results. Very, very hard thing to measure. But definitely something to which we are aiming for are these qualities such as enticingness, or that is how attractive it is to the attackers. We want the attackers to attack the honeypot, so we need to make it attractive to them. Now, what does attractive mean? Does it mean a lot of juicy files or a system that looks used, system that looks empty? These are all possibilities, but there are some things that work and some don't. Also, believability, how genuine it looks. Like if you compare Cowrie to a real Linux shell, even without like having them side by side, just interacting with the Cowrie, can you tell the difference or not? So that's that believability. And then there's variability. If you, basically what it means behind this definition, how believability changes over time when we reveal deception mechanism, if the attacker knows that there is a deception in our system, will they be able to recognize it? Now, if our honeypot is well implemented and configured, even if the attacker knows out of, I don't know, 2 computers that they saw in our network, one is a honeypot, they shouldn't be able to tell which one is a honeypot. That's a good variability. Also monitorability, as we mentioned, you need to be able to monitor people who touch it. And non-interference, I'm repeating this again, it shouldn't interfere with day-to-day business, with benign users, with production systems. Benign user must not, again, must never touch deception by accident. If they touch it on purpose, they're not benign, they're attackers. So, as we saw, our Cowrie wasn't really too believable, so we're gonna start modifying it a bit to make it prettier and more enticing and believable. And yeah, as realistic as possible. And we're gonna start with part of it, and then a big part of that is gonna be actually your assignment 5, but we will get to that one later. So let's go to our Cowrie home folder, if you already aren't there. And go to Cowrie. And in the logs, maybe you noticed that when Cowrie was running, it couldn't find the user database txt, so it used the default one. But now, since we are going to be adding users, because that's one of the main things that makes this Cowrie that we have discernible from real system, we will have to copy this default database to this user db txt, and then we're gonna be adding users there. And so we copy that, and we are going to edit it. And now here's a question for someone, anyone. When we examine this file, why weren't we able to log in with the password root, but we were able to log in with some password? I'm gonna check if there are some things here. No? Anyone? Like based on the configuration file. So you can actually read it even here. Okay, we're all a bit tired. So, yes, but why is it possible that the password root wasn't accepted, but password 12345 was. Yeah, why? So using the root is the only one that won't get you the access, but how do we know that from the configuration file? Yeah. Because of the exclamation point, yeah. So basically as we see here, at the start of a password will not grant this password access, but if we put a star, the user will have access. So we can add a new user, BSY, X, and we're just gonna let any password there. Yeah. So we edited the default database. And every change, modification you make in the Cowrie configuration, you need to restart Cowrie for those changes to take effect. So it's just Cowrie restart, and we should be good to go. So now we can actually try to get in as a BSY user. And you should be able to get in. So now instead of seeing root here, you should be seeing BSY. But also if you paid attention to the configuration file earlier, you would have seen one entry that says star x star, which basically means any user with any password. But you can, of course, delete that line if you don't want someone making up a user to get into, because that's also a telltale of Cowrie. I try any user and I get in. Yeah, really, shouldn't work. Okay, so we added our BSI user, we got in as BSY. Does the user exist in the system? Is our job of adding this user done? Let me see just look. No? Why? It doesn't have a home folder, it's not in ETC users or password. Okay, it doesn't have a home folder, it's not in ETC users or password, and that's actually correct, you know, because that command that we did just earlier just created us the possibility to log in as this user, but if we cat the ETC password, we don't see BSY anywhere. So not really realistic. So let's go further with modifying Cowrie. So again, we are in the Cowrie folder, and if you check Cowrie on GitHub and you check the README and the documentation, and you will probably need to do that anyway for the assignment, you will notice that HoneyFS says that it has contents for fake file system. So anything we edit, it's stored there. So we're gonna edit the password file. So we are now not in the Cowrie, but we are Cowrie user that is running Cowrie, and there we open the password file, and we're gonna, for example, add this line. Now, can you make it more realistic or not? That's left to you to explore, but we're just gonna show you the process of doing this, and when you have time, you make it as realistic as possible if you deal with this. Okay, so you copy it here, and you put it, and save, and leave. Okay, before we restart Cowrie, we can also in the same way, for example, update the password file. Of course, for that we're gonna need the password hash, because if you remember from the previous lecture, the password hash is stored there. So you can basically generate it simply with this command. This -1 means which algorithm is gonna be used for hashing. You can also use 6 if you want like more secure algorithm. So basically, instead of this password in red letters, you can put your password. Don't use this password usually, but this is just show it. Right? and then we open the HoneyFS etc shadow. And we add the BSY user with the hash and these other information that should be there. Okay. Save modified buffer, and of course Cowrie restart. Okay, so here we're gonna give a chance for everyone to catch up if you're having some issues. Okay. So now we change this, and let's try to log in back to our Cowrie. SCL people, you do it to your local host. You can just do it now for the testing to your own Docker. You don't have to attack someone else. So just put your IP here. So -9. I get in, and I do cat c password, and I see BSY, which is nice. I can do in shadow BSY. I see nice hash of the password. I can also do ls home, and we have an issue here. We created our BSY user, but it still doesn't fully exist. It doesn't have home BSY as it should. So we need to modify more. So here comes the patience that I was mentioning in the first part of the lecture, because basically when you just regularly in the Linux do user add, all of this is done automatically. When you're modifying Honeypot, you need to do manually every single step. So we need to add the user directory home. So are we okay to proceed with this? Are you with me? Okay. So basically we need to update the file system, and the fsctl is the command for that. But Cowrie is not using a real file system. It's using a simulated file system, which is simulated using pickle fs. Basically, it simulates file system behavior without touching the real operating system. So this is like one of that layer of insulation between, you know, actual system and this fake one. So to minimize the possibility of interference with the real things, because, you know, Honeypot should protect us. So in the source Cowrie data, fspickle is the stuff that we need. So if we run fsctl and that path, we should see something like this. And now we're basically in this simulated file system. And if we do ls, we see actually the directory listing that you will see in your Cowrie when you go to the root directory and do an ls. So, and if we do now ls/home, we see that only Phil has a directory there, exists as a user. So we need to add BSY here, and we basically do it like in a regular Linux shell, make dir home BSY. And we can check it. Yeah, we can exit, Cowrie restart again, and then we log back in as root or BSI, doesn't matter, and we do ls home, and we see our directory is really created there. Now, of course, to make it more realistic, you can populate with even more files, all the directories, create more users, etc. But this is the basic principle of how this is done. Now, it's just a lot of manual labor and you typing and being patient and adding stuff, adding stuff, adding stuff. Are we good? Did everyone manage to do it? Good, thank you. Good, good, good. Nice. So basically, these are some instructions on Cowrie and modifications and stuff. These are some instructions for everyone, CTU students or SCL mock students, but like CTU students, don't do it before you finish assignment 5 because you will need Cowrie running on port 2222 for the assignment 5. But basically to stop it, you do Cowrie stop, you deactivate virtual environment, and then you can delete virtual environment, delete extra users, whatever you want to do to harden your system. Okay, but like, I mean, you can do it now, but you will just have to then restart Cowrie for the assignment if you want to do it. Okay, we good? Breath in. Online? Yeah. Okay, good, thanks. Perfect. So, some of you maybe did this already, but now for us to like have a small break from all of this, and just before the ending of the class anyway. So we are doing a small research on how people behave in shell environments. So like if you haven't done the survey, please, you can do it now. Basically, if you follow this link, you should see this web page. There you have a simple task to try to find a hidden crypto wallet key without being detected. And then the important part for us is the survey afterwards that you complete. And yeah, the email is just so that we can cross-reference the survey and what you did. So like we can take some time for both online people and CTU people. We would be really thankful and grateful to you if you would help us with the research we are doing. So take your time. We can do 10 minutes to play with this and do the experiment, if you haven't done it already. Thank you. And yeah, if there are any questions, now is the time to ask. Also comments, anything. Yeah, so basically when you do the experiment, yeah, when you enter your email, you will get the web shell inside the web page. So like everything you need to do is in the web page, and you can do whatever you want that will get you to this goal or not. Like you have the freedom of, complete freedom of interaction with the system. Try around, play around, find the key, and don't forget to fill the survey. So you can just like if you do the survey, don't do it again so that we don't skew the results. Everything else perfectly fine. Yes.
Can we show it?
Yeah, of course, I can show it. So if I put my email here and I click begin session, see, you will get a web shell basically here in a window, and here you will be able to paste the key if you find it, and then you can basically interact with the web shell any way you want. You can check files, try to not be detected and find the secret key. Okay, and then yeah, when you find the key, just put as a solution the key after the equal sign, not the entire thing. So yeah, and yeah, we can. Our servers are a bit slow today, constant network issues. No, we don't want to reveal. Out of curiosity, has anyone maybe managed to find the key by now? Yet? Okay, it's somewhere, definitely. I made sure of it myself. Online people, mock people, are we good as well with the experiment? Any questions, doubts, anything?
Sorry, there is a question online if you can do the experiment later. Absolutely, the site is online, right? So they
Yeah, you can
participate
do
later.
the experiment afterwards. You don't have to do it immediately now, especially if you're online and are following something. It will be open for a few days more. So just don't do it more than once because of the results distribution, and that's it. Okay, gonna give 2 more minutes. Of course, there's a give up button if you don't wanna find the key or something. But please still do the survey even if you give up. We appreciate every answer. You're typing, you're engaged, I like it. If you want. Okay, I can, it's not a problem. I can talk, that's not an issue. Yeah, the password happened. Okay. How are we feeling? Locked in? Okay, I'm gonna give more time. Today. Yeah, here we go. You found it? Given up? It's okay. Just fill the survey. That's the important part. Yeah, and you get the survey after you either submit the key or give up. It will load where the shell was. So if I do give up, yeah, you will get this, but let me not spoil it for you further. Okay. 2 more minutes and then we continue. Of the experiment. It's completely the same. Perhaps. Maybe it will become clear later on. But I mean, you'll see soon. So crypto wallet key. You can maybe Google what kind of format it usually is. It's not a standard flag as you're used to so far. Okay. So, okay, last I don't know, 30 seconds for this, and then we need to wrap up. I think everybody wants to go. Copy strike. Okay. Nice. So, can we continue? Okay, so hopefully you who have been working on this now have submitted, because for the next part we need you to help us actually to make a decision on something else. So I have a something running here, and you can see I'm doing commands. I can go to documents, for example, see what's there, see in more detail. I can even try pinging another computer. I can, I don't know, check users in the system. Oh, there's Samantha. Let's go to home. Let's see what Samantha has been doing. Ooh, CD downloads. Tell me some command, Linux. Something you want me to type. Who am I? Who am I? Okay, let's see. Are we Brian or Samantha? Oh no, we're Samantha. Okay. This was very sad indeed. Oh my god. Give up. But so What do you think is going on here? Poorly configured honeypot. Thank you. This really, yeah. But I mean, yes, but no. It's not just a honeypot. Oh, here comes the sales pitch. No, it's not just a honeypot. It's an LLM honeypot. So basically, you just saw ShellLM do its thing. Of course, we used a weaker LLM here. That's why it made some mistakes, but still, it was somewhat solid on the some basic stuff, let's say. But so this is the something that we've been doing for a couple of years now. It kind of started with the LLM boom, and then we kind of started to build honeypots using LLMs to basically simulate entire systems. And this one Linux simulation that you saw here, we call it ShellLM, but we didn't just do that. We did HTTP, POP3, MySQL. Basically, with LLMs, we simulate any protocol that we need and that attackers might find interesting. Now, what are the benefits of this honeypot? I didn't create any of the files or users that you saw there. That's the LLM. What we did was, of course, from this AI perspective, we needed to fine-tune the model, of course. So we needed to create and collect the data for that and run the fine-tuning. Then there's the prompt engineering, of course, explaining to the LLM how it needs to behave. But everything else it does on its own. So comparing to Cowrie, it's less time to deploy the entire system because it figures it out on its own. And if, for example, you have a system that's simulating an IT company and you want another one that simulates a financial company, you just change one sentence in the prompt with a different honeypots. You would actually create all the files all over again and everything to make it more realistic. Of course, there are another big advantage of these LLM honeypots is no commands are really running in the system. So I do ls, I do cd, I do ping, I do wget, whatever. But the response is just generated text. It's not, the command is not really executed in the computer. You're just talking to an LLM that's responding to you as Linux shell, and that's it. So you can even deploy it internally, because even if attackers figure out, oh, it's a honeypot, they can't execute command, they can't execute malware. The honeypot I was mentioning earlier that we deployed, online, and the attacker got in because something was downloaded and started, but they didn't have it in their command control, was the ShellLM. Because they wanted to download malware, and ShellLM said, yeah, sure, it's downloaded. Can you run it? Yeah, well, of course, it's running. Why don't I see it here? I don't know. So they got in and they typed. So, of course, it's LLM. It has some costs as well. Now you might say, okay, what if somebody tries to prompt inject it and then use it to do something else? Of course, that's also something we are thinking about. So we have some protection installed. Of course, with LLMs, it's always there's always possibility of someone finding some prompt that would break it. But even if the worst case, they would just figure out it's a honeypot, they wouldn't be able to do much more. You can check it out on GitHub. You just Google, I put VLLMS actually, which is the entire deception framework, including all of these protocols, which is really nice. So you can check it out on GitHub. Maybe we will even have ShellLM deployed somewhere on some IP. So if we do, we will tell it so you can go and play with it, try it out. But also if you clone this, you will just need your OpenAI API key, and I think we even put the prompts there, so you don't have to write your prompts if you don't want. Or we are also adding support for local models if you're running something of your own. So very nice. So any questions here? No? Okay. So basically, short recap, honeypots are very nice thing, but we need to be careful with them, where we deploy them, how we deploy them, and we want the attackers to see them, we want the attackers to think they are real, and we want the attackers to attack them actually, and so that we can see what they are doing. Here are some other honeypots other than Cowrie that you can try. Teapot is very nice. It's like a all-in-one honeypot, also chameleon. We also have Cyberdeception that's a bit on steganography and some of the other steganography techniques, some difference with polyglots, also another honeypot heralding, which is for credential harvesting, if you're interested in this extra content, of course. And yeah, so I will just briefly explain the assignment. Martin will tell the SCL people about new challenge in SCL, and then we wrap up. So yeah, the assignment again, 9 p.m. Tonight. You will need Cowrie for it, and it will need to be running on the SSH port 2222. We will have attackers connecting to it and trying to figure out if it's a honeypot or a real system. If they can't figure out it's a honeypot, you get the flag, you put the flag in CTFD, and you get 6 points. Very nice amount of points. Yeah, also we said the assignments 2 to 5 are for the bonus report, which is due to December 11th. But the assignments to 4 close on October 30th, so keep also that in mind in regards to the report, because then you will just be able to do the report on the 5th assignment afterwards. Any question about the assignment for tonight?
Do we need to leave the Cowrie running as we just set up?
Yes, it needs to be running on port 2222. Yes. Yes, you don't have to do the assignment tonight. The attackers will be attacking you basically until you solve the assignment. So if your Cowrie, like until this assignment is closed, and this is the 5th one, so it closes at the end of the semester, basically whenever you decide to do it, you'll be able to do it. It doesn't have to be tonight. Sorry? Yes, the attacks are coming periodically, so yeah. And you will have to figure out if the attacker knows it's a honeypot or not. You will have to check probably logs or something, figure it out. Martin?
Yeah, and this is for everyone. So there's also a new challenge called Anyone Home in Stratos Cyberlab. So feel free to play that. It covers deception. It's labeled as difficult, so don't be afraid to ask and ask for some hints. And it has 2 tasks, and I think it's fun. So yeah, just so you know.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, as always, don't forget to give us feedback. We always take it seriously, as you know. I know you miss Sebastian today, but he'll be back next week. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, and yeah, the next lecture is also a very fun one, very hands-on. So if you have the opportunity to attend it live, I seriously recommend to be here for the next lecture. Thank you.